We've got our meteorologist, Alita Loreska. She's here with much more.
Yeah, Rita, and here's another view. This is our ABC 13 tower camera, and it's pointing in the direction of the Southwest Freeway. From this vantage point, no major issues, not dealing with some fog there. Visibility is okay, but of course that could change over time. Temperatures out the door are noticeably warm, and once the fog does lift, today we've got a mix of sun and clouds, more clouds and sunshine in some spots, and temperatures overall will be unseasonably warm for this time of year. We're going to be somewhere in the upper 70s, even some lower 80s, challenging some record highs the next several days. I'll have the latest on those changes coming up on the other side of the break.
Loving all of this, but yeah, Auntie Alita says probably no snow, but flip-flops almost this weekend.
Flip-flops. How about a sand castle?
Sand castle, that's a good
we
one.
We could do a sand snowman instead. Definitely going to be favoring, some sunshine for this week, mixed in with some of those clouds. Unfortunately, we are dealing with some fog this morning, and it is locally dense, especially for those of you that are traveling out eastbound toward Beaumont and toward the Lake Charles area. We've got a pocket here of some dense fog impacting northern parts of Fort Bend County. Those of you waking up in Waller, northwest Harris County, along the Grand Parkway this morning, traveling around 290, Cy-Fair, Jersey Village this morning, extra soupy with those visibilities reduced to a quarter of a mile or less. And you can bet that these visibilities not really going to improve for the next several hours. By 9 o'clock, most of that fog should be lifting. Those of you along the coastline, though, some of that fog may linger well into the afternoon hours and then redevelop and spread further inland later on tonight. Out the door this morning, we've got mostly cloudy conditions. There's been a light breeze blowing in, but that breeze is not helping all that much. Down along the coastline where it's not too soupy at this hour, you can see some better visibility down along Seawall Boulevard, but temperatures are averaging as much as 20 degrees warmer compared to yesterday, only about 7 degrees warmer down in Galveston. So we've got temperatures pretty much widespread into the 60s. You will not need any sort of heavy layer this morning. And by this afternoon, yeah, a lot of you that might be thinking, you know what, I still need a zip up. You're probably not going to need that layer this afternoon, as temperatures will be pushing closer to 80 degrees and getting near some record highs. And then not just our part of the state. Look at out toward Del Rio. You go out toward the Rio Grande Valley, and we're talking highs today, nearing 90 degrees. San Antonio with 80 degrees, upper 70s, low 80s around Waco, courtesy of this ridge of high pressure that's going to be pretty dominant in our weather pattern over the next several days, and that's not going to allow for many cold fronts to move in until we get into the weekend. So for today, keeping at least a 20% chance of a rain shower or two. Otherwise, looking for that fog to return overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. That's the deeper shade of gray that you're seeing, and mixed in with some of that fog will be maybe some heavy mist and isolated sprinkle, and we'll have enough moisture in place to keep at least a 20% chance for some rain through the upcoming weekend. By Sunday, we've raised that rain chance just a touch, but I bet we'll probably be raising it a little bit higher as we get some high resolution model data. Some of those models, again, are painting out some widely scattered rain showers, and right now the latest potential rainfall totals don't look like much. I mean, we're talking less than 1/10 of an inch if you do see any sort of measurable rain over the coming days. So expect temperature readings in the upper 70s to low 80s. Those overnight lows are just going to be pretty nasty. I mean, upper 60s, you don't get much of a temperature change between the mornings and the afternoons, but we will see those changes by Sunday afternoon into the evening hours as that front moves through. That's going to deliver some cooler air about a week from now, and that's going to allow those temperature readings to fall somewhere into the 40s overnight with highs in the 50s, ladies.
All right, Alita, thank you.
All right, we are monitoring the fog situation this morning, Rita. Not bad from this vantage point. This is our ABC 13 tower camera pointing toward the Southwest Freeway. Not looking bad right now. Temperature-wise, we're starting off in the low to mid 60s. You'll notice we get a mix of sun and clouds later on today. Some of you may be socked in more than others where the fog just doesn't clear, mainly along our coastline. But everyone is going to be warming up today. We're talking highs well above normal, somewhere in the upper 70s to low 80s. But we will catch a break later on this week. We've got some rain back in the forecast. Also, our next cold front. I've got that timeline for you coming up in just a few minutes.
we're dealing with here with our local conditions, but we could see near record heat this week. But Alita, as you mentioned, it's like not time to put the jackets away either. So.
No, we've got a big kind of temperature swing headed our way over the next 10 days, Rita. Dense fog advisory first, not just here across southeast Texas. This is stretching over more than a handful of states. I mean, this fog is taking you into Florida, all along the mid-Atlantic coastline. So if you're traveling this morning and you're headed out toward the Carolinas, maybe the Sunshine State, not looking at too much sunshine for today. They're dealing with some fog. For us, we'll get some sunshine in there later on this afternoon. Unfortunately, those of you along the coastline may be dealing with the fog longer than that 9 o'clock expiration time for that dense fog advisory. But you can see several counties inland, also off toward the east under that dense fog advisory. And here's where we stand currently with some of the worst visibility right along the I-10 corridor. And you can see areas to the north now starting to see the expansion of that fog. We're also dealing with some fog on the southwest side of town, waking up in Calhoun County, those of you down toward Port Lavaca, around Colorado County, and again, as I mentioned, toward the east side of town along the upper Texas, Louisiana coastline, southwest portions of Louisiana. Now, the computer models, the fogcast has been a little bit more aggressive in the coverage of the fog, but when you track the trend, you'll notice that the trend is showing the redevelopment of that fog later on tonight into tomorrow morning, and then again Tuesday night and into Wednesday. And this is going to be the pattern because we've got so much humidity with us, and you can see the warmer air moving over the cooler shelf waters. That's going to keep the sea fog around even well past the mid to latter part of the morning, maybe well into the afternoon. But we do get a drop in the humidity in that muggy meter. Notice how it tumbles as we get into the Monday timeframe. That's next week. That's because of a cold front, and that'll deliver at least some lower humidity into the area. And right now it does look like signs of some cooler temperatures as well. Nothing cool about our forecast this morning. Temperature readings are running a good 20 degrees warmer compared to yesterday at this time. And when you factor in where we should be for this time of year for lows, we should be in the mid-40s still. I mean, it is February and we're nowhere close to that. In fact, those overnight lows will be about 10 to 15 degrees higher than the normal low. And even when you talk about the highs, it's going to be running about 10 to 12 degrees warmer than the normal high for this time of year. But it is very soupy right now. This is our Lake Conroe camera, and it is very foggy there. Temperature readings across the state, very warm, not just here across southeast Texas. 66 in LaGrange, 63 in Navasota. As I mentioned, we're going to be challenging some record highs in the upper 70s to low 80s, and that will be pretty much the pattern here through the rest of the week. Overnight lows dropping into the upper 60s. You'll see that we get a little bit of cloud cover to mix out with some sunshine, some clearing later on today, especially on the west side, northwest side of town. But also mixed in with some of those clouds and the moisture will be a few raindrops. We've got you down for about a 20% chance for some wet weather, not just for today, but each and every day, along with those record highs. Those temperature readings will be in the low 80s during the afternoon, ladies. So definitely going to be dealing with more flip-flop T-shirt weather versus the warm coats. You've got the umbrella handy, though, by the second half of the weekend as our next cold front arrives. That cold front right now we've penciled in for a 30% chance for some wet weather. And then looking beyond the weekend into early next week, that's when we anticipate a little bit of a drop in those temperatures, or I should say a lot of drop. I mean, look at those temperature readings overnight in the 40s with afternoon highs in the upper 50s. It is going to be a stark difference from where we're going to be dealing with those temperatures over the next several days.
Okay.